One of our challenges when doing post-test analysis is running into an SRM alert, also called Sample Ratio Mismatch, which means that if you intended to have a 50-50 traffic split, there is a significant difference between the groups. And that's not necessarily the goal of A/B testing, right? We want two equal groups to measure the effect correctly. So we want the significant difference in here and not in the users and sessions. So why can this be a problem? I think it's important to know that whenever you don't have this equal split, it often means that something is wrong with your test. Like there might have been a bug which caused some users not to be able to see the test or to get the test fired. It can be a range of things, but most of the time those impacts of that bug are so big, or it can be a technical bug, it can be a data issue, that you might want to rerun the test to really be sure about the results and, just to have, the test that you want set up correctly. So when I was still at my time at CRO, which I sometimes still help before I had my own company increase conversion rate, I created this kind of what to do next when you find an SRM alert. So some calculators will give you an alert like this. I also checked another one. Some also don't. So I think here there is none alert. In some tools there is an alert, in others there is not. Anyways, it is very important, of course, to deal with this. But it is kind of a puzzle and it's not an easy one. So let's go through this together. So you find this SRM alert. Maybe you also use the Spiral calculator. Maybe you use a tool that gives you the alert. All good. I think the first thing is to question, like, hey, is this a server-side test or a client-side test? And I think in most of the cases, in most companies are still using client-side tests. No worries. So that means the setup is a little bit different. What I would do personally, or have an analyst work with me, is check the data for abnormalities between the variants in browser types, devices, screen resolution, user types like returning or logged in customers, maybe content types, or where people came from, like did they come from Google search, organic or paid. So sometimes all these things, there can be a bug in there. I think those are the things that we can do with data. Of course, if the groups are very small, at one point you segment so much that groups get small and you see a difference, that might not be necessarily the issue. Like, for example, someone said, oh yeah, I found what the SRM alert is about. It was someone from India on this special device, and that's what caused it. So that's kind of a trap you can fall into, but at least, check all these things. So, for example, what happened to me a lot of times is that Internet Explorer, it wouldn't work there, the test. So I would have no users in my variant from Internet Explorer, but there would be users in Internet Explorer in my control. So that would be the cause of the issue. It has had something to do with a bug and the test not being fired. And that also leads us to the second thing here is often you need someone technical to either find the problem. So it can also be a data issue, of course, like the data not being set up correctly. But most of the time it's like a bug in the code. So the code breaks somewhere and maybe for some devices it doesn't work, or maybe for some timing. So I've also seen that, for example, a test was fired based on something that would load onto the page later and that timing wasn't correct, wouldn't work. So then development would find that and would have to fix it. So sometimes you can use still the available data that you have to find the results. So what you can do with the Internet Explorer example is you don't have to rerun it. You can just take out Internet Explorer in the control and see if the groups then match. and then make your conclusions, of course, if you still have enough data. But it means you won't know anything about Internet Explorer, so maybe you still want to rerun the test. Maybe that's the best option to fix the bug and rerun the test. Let's also check server-side testing. So tools like SiteSpec work a little bit different in the distribution of traffic. So for example, in server-side testing, the user is already bucketed from the moment that they will reach your website. So for example, if I go to my company's website here, from the moment you are on the homepage, you would be bucketed into either A or either B. Even though my experiment might only run on the experimentation program page, you are already bucketed from the moment you request something from the server. So that makes it very different. So for example, let's go back to this, is that, it might have something to do with the bucketing there. It might have something to do with all the things that are also relevant to client-side testing, of course. But it's good to know that the bucketing of server-side testing works very different. And sometimes you will have to take that into account too. There might be something off in there. So there is no clear-cut answers at all. But I do hope that this will help you at least track down, I would say, like 50% of why SRM alert is happening to you. And now you will know how to fix it and how to deal with it. If you need more information, let me know. You can always reach out to me on LinkedIn or wherever you like. Bye.